All right, let's take a journey together. We're heading to a world of truly monumental scale and just breathtaking beauty. It's a place that lies just beyond the most famous mountain range on Earth. So get ready, because we're going to go explore the Trans-Himalaya.
So, when I say the word Himalayas, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably Mount Everest, right? Or maybe those iconic snow-capped peaks of the Great Himalayan Range. But you know, that's really only one chapter in a much, much larger story. The real question is, what's on the other side? What lies just north of that famous wall of mountains?
And this is where our journey really gets going. We're talking about the Trans-Himalaya, the northernmost of the four major divisions of the Himalayas. Now, because it sits behind that main range, it's actually in what's called a rain shadow. That basically means those massive peaks block most of the monsoon clouds, and what that creates is a stark, dry, high-altitude world that is completely unique. And that's what we're about to explore.
Okay, so to really understand this place, you got to start with its foundation, right? Its very backbone. And that means we have to look at the immense mountain ranges that define the whole region.
The entire region is really built on four foundational pillars. You've got the Karakoram, the Ladakh, and the Zanskar ranges, all located in the incredible region of Ladakh. And then you have the Kailash range. Now, these aren't just, lines of mountains on a map. These are the colossal spine of the Trans-Himalaya. They're the geological structures that literally dictate the entire landscape.
And shooting up from these ranges? Well, that's where you find some of the most formidable and legendary peaks on the entire planet. We're talking about the true giants of the mountain world.
First up, a name that absolutely commands respect in the climbing world, Mount K2. Sure, it might be the second highest mountain on Earth, but for so many climbers, it's the ultimate challenge. They call it the Savage Mountain, and it just defines the raw, untamed power of the Karakoram.
But K2 is definitely not alone up there. Oh no, the whole region is just studded with other giants. You've got Mount Rakaposhi, which is famous for its staggering, almost vertical rise straight from the valley floor. And then there's the mighty Gasherbrum Massif. I mean, each of these is a world-class peak that would be the crown jewel of pretty much any other mountain range.
Okay, so we've talked about rock. Let's switch gears and talk about ice. Because the same high-altitude environment that creates these massive peaks, well, it also gives birth to some of the world's largest bodies of ice outside of the polar regions, the Great Glaciers. And listen, we are not talking about small patches of ice here. No way. These are massive, slow-moving rivers of ice. They're some of the largest you'll find anywhere outside the poles, and they've spent thousands and thousands of years just slowly carving and shaping this entire landscape.
I mean, just look at this list of absolute titans. You have the Siachen Glacier, which is one of the longest mountain glaciers on the entire planet. You've got the Baltoro, which is like an icy highway for climbers who are trying to get to K2. And then you have the Biafo, the Hispar, and the Batora. Each one is just an immense force of nature, constantly reshaping the valleys that they crawl through.
All right, so you're probably picturing this world of just jagged peaks and massive glaciers, right? Well, the Trans-Himalaya has a huge surprise up its sleeve. It's a dramatic contrast to the vertical world we've been looking at, because this place is also home to vast, high-altitude plains. Yep, you heard that right. In the middle of all these peaks and glaciers, the landscape just, opens up into these enormous plains. There are three major expanses here, and each one creates a stunningly different kind of environment right there at the top of the world.
And here they are. You've got the Deosai Plains, the Depsang Plains, and the Soda Plains. Now, don't go picturing lush green fields, okay? These are high-altitude, cold deserts. They're vast, windswept expanses where life has had to adapt to some really extreme conditions. It just shows you another completely different face of this incredibly diverse region. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? I think it's pretty clear. The Trans-Himalaya is a land of extreme contrasts. It's one single region where you can see some of the world's highest peaks, its longest mountain glaciers, and these unbelievably expansive high-altitude plains, all in one journey.
It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Even as we get better and better at exploring our world, what secrets do these incredibly remote landscapes still hold? Geological, biological, who knows what else? What's really left to discover in the land beyond the Great Mountains? Thanks for coming along on this little trip through the Trans-Himalaya.